wish there was a way to play Bionicle in not real life. Maybe some kind of digital form or...
Bionicle was developed by Argonaut Games, Argonaut Sheffield, and Mobius Entertainment. It was released in 2003 on the GameCube, Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Windows, and OS X by LEGO Interactive and EA. THQ handled the publishing of the Game Boy version, and Feral Interactive handled the publishing of the OS X version. The game's story is loosely, and I mean very loosely, based on the 2003 direct-to-video movie Bionicle: The Mask of Light. Before we get into the game, let's get a quick rundown of what Bionicle was for those unfamiliar. Bonkle was a line of toys made by the toy company LEGO. The line launched in 2000 in Europe and Australasia, and then launched in the Americas in 2001. Over the decades, it became one of the biggest selling groups in the LEGO properties. It even helped save LEGO's financial crisis in the late 1990s. It had its own original story that went across all forms of media, from comics to movies to games, and for a children's toy series, the story was pretty impressive. The story was supposed to span 20 years, but ended up finishing in 2010 and getting cancelled. Even so, the series lasted nearly 9 years with canon that spanned whole worlds, creating a massive following. It eventually came back in 2015, but was soon cancelled in 2016 because it just could not sell well compared to the original run. And a lot of the core fans of the series looked at the new series as a watered-down version of the original epic they had grown up loving. I could keep going on the actual history of the story, but that would take forever, and its convoluted nature is one of the main reasons why the series was cancelled in the first place. So let's just get to the game. Our story begins with the main villains, the Borok, attacking the island of Matanui, where all the Toa live peacefully. The first level we play as the fire warrior Toa Tahu, fighting off the menace of the Borok and saving his people. Once he defeats the Borok, he finds a mysterious mask and then runs down to warn the ice warrior Toa Kopaka. Kopaka has an annoyingly easy downhill battle with the mountains to get his village before the Borok. Luckily, he defeats them just in time. Suddenly, all the Toa are transformed into stronger redesigned forms called the Toa Nuva.
There's a very in-depth reason and story for this transformation in the canon that is extremely skimmed over for whatever reason in the game.
It's just a boss fight, then a cutscene, then boom, we're suddenly very different people. What the fuck? What is this? What?
We cut to a Borok Kal, a stronger, more menacing version of the Borok, taking and torturing the Water Matoran. The Water Warrior, Gali Nuva, rescues her Matoran and defeats all the Borok Kal in one swoop. She quickly runs to warn the Warrior of Stone, Pahatu Nuva. Pahatu and Gali split up so that Pahatu can go warn the Warrior of Earth, Anua. Side note, I never understood why they had to have a Warrior of Stone and a Warrior of Earth. I feel like they would be the same thing. Anyway, Pahatu warns Anua of the rising of the Rakshi, these weird snake-like bad guys who are apparently the sons of the main villain Makuta. Anua ends up killing one of the Rakshi, Lirok, by dropping a giant machine on him. While that's happening, Gali goes to warn the Warrior of Wind, Lua Nuva. Lua ends up fighting the Rakshi Penrock, while Tahu lava surfs after the Rakshi Kurok, who has made off with the Mask of Light, the mask of the 7th and most powerful warrior. We're going to come back to this monstrosity of a level later, don't worry. Once Tahu retrieves the mask, the chronicler Takua ends up donning the mask, transforming him into Takanuva, the 7th Toa of Light. Takanuva, I'm just going to call Tim at this point because, Jesus Christ, these names are killing me, has a showdown with Makuta, and once Makuta is defeated, Tim removes his mask and puts it over Makuta's face and says, "Now kiss." Once the two become one, they become known as Takutanuva, who I'm just gonna call Tim 2.0. Tim 2.0 opens the door and awakes the sleeping Matanui. And that's it. That's the story. This story is weird. There's enough here for it to kind of make sense, mainly because, as I said before, it's just a watered-down version of the first movie. But the story itself goes so all over the place, adding details and omitting entire plot points that it basically is just a jumbled mess. The gameplay is even weirder. This game, it's not done. And I mean really, really not done. This isn't even one of those situations where the game is halfway done. It's more like 1/4 done, like we just put this thing in the oven 10 minutes ago done. The controls feel pretty solid when you're actually platforming, which you really don't do a lot of. The combat feels fine until you actually have to fight, and then it's just wrong. When enemies shoot at you, you're supposed to press the shield button to absorb the enemy's dark energy to make it into light energy. The entire combat system is you standing in one place, shielding and shooting. Why do we have a variety of swords and spheres and clubs if we only shoot? Most stages consist of walking around for a second, then getting thrown onto some sort of quote-unquote mini-game, if you can even call it that. Kopaka's stage is a downhill battle, which, I'll be honest, isn't terrible. In fact, it's pretty easy and a little fun. The platforming can be fair and honestly feels good most of the time. However, the only stages that actually get platforming are Gali's, Tahu's, Onua's, and Lua's. 4 of the 8. Oh yeah, there are only like 8 stages. Yeah, this game can be completed in like an hour. Even more evidence that it's not really done. 4 of the 8 stages are actual platforming, and only 3 in the whole game can actually be considered good. Kohatu's stage consists of walking around for a second, then falling in a hole where him and a Matoran have to ride a minecart to get out. This stage takes so long, it's unnecessary. The minecart runs on the energy you use for attacking, which means while it's constantly going down, you have to use it to destroy obstacles. You have to pull these levers throughout the stage and pick up these energy orbs to stay alive. If you run out of energy, you die. If you run out of health, you die. If you don't make the jump how the game wants you to, you die. Lua's stage starts out fun and solid, and then like everything else in the game, it doesn't last long. You're jumping from tree to tree, grinding on tree limbs, Tarzan style, and god, it's really cool! But then the next segment starts. Lua has the ability to glide in this game, and it controls horrendously. The gliding doesn't stop when you hit the ground, it just stops after a few seconds in the air. A lot of the platforming you actually need the gliding for is mainly you just barely making it. The entire stage is basically a bottomless pit, so if you don't make these jumps just right, then you're dead. Later in the stage, you have to use this bird to fly in front of you. You have to follow its wind trail. The bird makes you move so fast to properly react, let alone with terrible gliding physics that kill you anyway. This leads to a lot of sharp turns out of nowhere that cause a lot of, and I mean a lot of deaths. And then Tahu's second stage. What happened? You're racing Kurok down a lava mountain, and if you get killed, you have to restart. You can't skip the cutscene if you lose the race, but you can skip the scenes leading up to it. Kurok has the absolute worst rubber banding in a video game I've ever seen. I can't count how many times I was about to win the race, then literally right as I was passing the finish line, he just popped into existence in front of me and won. The final boss fight with Makuta is like a more drawn out yet shorter version of Ganondorf's boss fight from Ocarina of Time. Like, it feels like it takes forever, but in reality, it's just super short. I really wish this game would have been better. This was the last game LEGO Interactive published before going down in 2004. And there was a lot of things that got cut from this game. The trailer for this game has footage that isn't even available or seen in the game itself, and it just left me wondering what happened. Did they rush it just to tie in with the movie? For example, in the actual lore, the main characters fight Makuta before, and that was supposed to be in the game, but this game just suffers from being rushed. Plot points are skimmed or not even explained, and the levels feel like empty shells, only providing remnants of fun. Bionicle games have a long history of cut content. There was one game that was even supposed to come out for PC that just never did. This game was a huge nostalgia trip for me, but it made me feel really sad to see the series have such a slap-together final product as this.
Well, I guess since there's not a good Bonkle game, I'll just keep playing with my real-life Bonkles. Oh well.
To another man, but the last one, he left you for that other tramp. He's waiting, never open up your heart to love again.
These tears don't represent what I fear. If I didn't care, you'd be first to know. Is it a problem that I know the end is near? My biggest fear is having to let go. These tears don't represent what I fear. If I didn't care,